Former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno joins me. Okay, Joe, take it away. What do you think? I mean, this obviously the girls or women. It's terrible what happened to them, but I have a real problem with what's going on. 6 hours with the former president and Secretary of State when she never even met the guy.
The drama continues. I realize it's dangerous to make predictions in this town, but I'm going to go on a limb and make two. One is that there will be no additional charges here in the U.S. against anyone stemming from this investigation. There could be explosive allegations. There could be sort of Easter eggs that are revealed. No one will be charged. The second is Bill Clinton will not be the last former president to be deposed, because now 100% the Democrats, as soon as they take control of the House or the Senate, will be calling Donald Trump. It's not going to happen during his presidency because they really can't force him to. But the minute he's a former president, you can bet they'll do all they can to hear from him.
I'll tell you, there's so many troubling aspects to this. I mean, it's not a legal matter. You and I both know that. It is totally political at this point because no charges are going to be brought, no can. But even take a look at one of the biggest donors to the Republican Party, or not one of the biggest, but a large donor to the Republican Party is Wexner from Ohio. And he is the one who got apparently swindled by Epstein, which is why Epstein got so much money, made so much money. Wexner is a billionaire, started Victoria's Secret. And they deposed Wexner 2 weeks ago in Ohio, and there are 26 Republicans on the committee. And not one of the 26 Republicans on the committee showed up for the deposition at all. They could have found one. Comer apparently was having oral surgery, fine, but that leaves 25 more. Not one showed up to question a Republican donor who gave all the seed money to Epstein.
No, look, they're not even pretending to work together at this point between the Republicans.
But it's not working together. I mean, that isn't even working together. That's something else.
But, I mean, I think at one point, ostensibly, both Republicans and Democrats claimed this was nonpartisan, right? This was just a look into the Epstein investigation files to see if there was anything further to find and to look at whether the Justice Department had done its job. Now I feel like between the body language and the statements that they're making on camera, where clearly one side defends themselves and attacks the other, things like this where Republicans don't show up to a deposition because it could embarrass them. Look, it's a clown show. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think, you and I both lived through the 80s, and we used to talk about mutually assured destruction, right? Why you didn't have nuclear war, because both sides would just annihilate each other. And I kind of feel like that's what's happened here. I feel like they've just realized that both sides are going to take big hits, so let's just kind of throw it all out there and see where it all falls.
I think if it goes further, I mean, it probably is going to go further, where the Republicans are so heavy-handed against Democrats, but not against their own party, Howard Lutnick and even President Trump testifying, is that we become so heavy-handed. I think that this will be bad for the Republicans come November if this is still going on. And I thought, I mean, President Trump got attacked incredibly. He got sued incredibly a lot. I mean, what happened to him? But that's no reason now for this Republican committee to pick up and now get even.
No, I mean, and look, I'm a Republican, and I felt like regardless of party, I thought Trump was treated very unfairly when he was out of office with all of those prosecutions against him. I'm going to call out my own party here. I mean, I don't like the fact that Republicans going to claim to have the high ground, and then when it comes to like this, when they're clearly not into it, when it might embarrass them, I don't see how they could possibly now claim that whether they're in the majority or the minority next year, how you can't subpoena and call someone like Lutnick or Donald Trump himself to testify.
I think they've also dropped out a lot of time here because they talked about, Logan just reported that he was at the White House. I forgot how many times. I wrote notes, like 20 times. I'm like, is at the White House 20 times or something at the White House. But that was while he was president. But Epstein didn't get charged until July 2006. And I don't know if any activities at all prior to July 2006 on a lot of these people. They had no idea. I mean, I assume they had no idea. I guess that's what the point of the committee is, to see whether they did idea. But even in 2006 is that Jeffrey Epstein, and this is the fault of the prosecutors, just slapped his hands and sent him back home, essentially. And he kept going with this horrible, detestable behavior. But it's like, I mean, who knew?
Well, I think you're going to see a big difference between folks who associated with Epstein before '06 and those who continued to associate with him after his plea in Florida in 2008. I think to their benefit, I think both Bill Clinton and Donald Trump have the advantage of saying we mostly associated with him in the 90s and early 2000s. Once he got involved with this prostitution claim down in Florida, we distanced ourselves largely from him. I think that's in their favor. And those who associated with Epstein took gifts from him, hung out with him after 2008, when at this point he had spent time in jail and he had admitted to soliciting prostitution. They're going to have a harder time defending themselves.
I mean, you've even got the former Obama White House counselor, Kathy Rumler, who got a $12,000 or $9,000 purse. I don't even know purses were that expensive, $9,500 or something. She got it from him in about 2016. That was really creepy. I mean, it's really, it was so gauche, all that money on it, personally, so I think so. But that's not a crime. That's not a crime.
It's not a crime, but I mean, this is, as an attorney, that's someone who had an incredible legal career and an incredible job at Goldman Sachs. So to see a career end like that because of an association like this, sure, it's not a crime.
Well, it's not the only thing. I mean, there are other emails and stuff like that. I mean, there's an awful lot of creepy, gross behavior by a lot of people that doesn't amount to a crime. That's my point.
And again, as a prosecutor, though, I get uncomfortable because there's all kinds of information we have as prosecutors that, for one reason or the other, we don't charge, either because it's not substantiated, because we can't trust the source of it, because we don't feel like we have evidence to prove in court beyond a reasonable doubt. If this were the new standard, we could release all kinds of stuff about all kinds of people, and it would just become an absolute lack of due process. You would have whatever is in prosecutors' hands throw out there with no protections to people. I'm uncomfortable with it.
I guess if you believed in the investigation, since Clinton's in the pictures, it's fair to ask him questions about whether he saw any of these girls abused. I guess that's fair.
It's too late. It's too late now.
No. But I'm saying that, as much as I don't like this investigation and as much as it's beyond the statute of limitations, if you think that this investigation is a fair one, fundamentally. But Hillary Clinton said she never even met them. They had no evidence that she'd ever even met them. And I know they've got that picture from 2010 or something where Ghislaine Maxwell was at a wedding. She's a +1 to a guy who was a big donor to the Clinton Global Initiative. There's no indication, even that Hillary even knew this, and even that enraged Bill Clinton so much that he came out in a statement and said that.
And this is where both sides could have worked together in the background to say, look.
Oh, it's never going to happen. That was never going to happen. This is.
But they could have said, all right, look, there's a limit to how far we'll go, right? We'll call Lutnick, we'll call powerful figures, but we won't go as far as former presidents and former first ladies, particularly Hillary. And I agree. I mean, there was no reason for her to appear other than the fact that.
Why didn't they show up at Wexner's deposition?
No, it's terrible bad faith. It's terrible hypocrisy. And it will absolutely come back to bite them come next year if the Democrats likely take the House.
I just think it's like, and of course we have very little transparencies because most hearings are out in the open, and we would be able to see this. Instead, they do it behind closed doors, and I think primarily because, maybe you can correct me, is first of all you don't have the 5-minute rule, but they could expand that in hearings, nothing to stop them. But I think it's the staff that's asking questions because I don't think we only see the members of Congress come to the microphone on both parties.
Well, members of Congress are very good at making statements on camera, but when it actually comes time to asking real questions, it's staffers and lawyers that actually do the real work, and the congressmen and women won't look as impressive at a deposition than they do in the 5 minutes they get on House committee hearings.
What could you possibly ask Hillary Clinton about this for 6 hours? What could you possibly ask? Okay, I get maybe an hour you'd come up with something.
It sounded like some pretty wacky stuff that went far beyond Epstein. I think they're talking about UFOs and things like that. So it sounded like there were some really crazy things going on yesterday. And it's drama, it's unserious, and it's really frustrating that they're not doing the country's business.
Yes, but the thing is, the American people have other more serious problems, and the whole world is watching us. That's the other problem too. I mean, I get Prince Andrew and Mandelson in the UK because they're being accused of trade secrets, but none of these people are being accused of trade secrets as sort of the litany of people come in. That's not to say that these young women haven't suffered, but it's a different issue, and indeed they have. Anyway, Joe Moreno, thank you.
Thanks, Greta.